Welcome to the return of Center of Light Radio. Good to see you. I think I had the volume off. I see I'm out of muscle memory. It's been a while. Welcome back to Center of Light Radio. It's been a while. My computer went down and said, I need to rest. So we created a fundraiser. Thank you to Dr. Katie Camara for those who are interested in supporting Center of Light. Though we're getting things back up and running, do a couple things. I'm learning all over again. There we go. Getting things back up and running. Things are looking good. Got the PC happening. I've had not had any issues. Dear Lord, I'm so happy about that. But if there's still a little ways to go. Center of Light is now a Foundation LLC. So thank you for contributing however you have been. It means a lot to me, a lot to you, a lot to us, a lot to we. We have a lot of work to do. We've done a lot of work. We're not there yet, but we're doing fantastic. I have a fun show tonight. Since it's my first time being back, I really don't know what to say. I'm out of host mode, but we're going to have a good time tonight. I have a special guest for you. You know, this good looking man. Center of Light, it's good to be back. I love learning. Just like you, I love learning, and I get the most phenomenal guests and people who just want to sit here for a little while and get to know each other from head to head, hand to hand, heart to heart. What a great way to start tonight's return of Center of Light Radio. Let me tell you a little bit about my friend. I'm not going to tell you too much. I want you to experience him, and he is one authentic cat. Get these links ready, and we're going to hang out for a little while. Dr. Katie Camara in the house. Robert's in the house. All right, let me tell you a little bit about, not my guest. He is my guest, but he's my bro ham sandwich. Spiritual teacher, filmmaker, gold record producer, and my bro ham sandwich. I'm going to make you wait. Welcome to Center of Light Radio again after all this time, brother. I don't hear you. Give me a big unmute. And you froze right away on me. Hello, Dana. Brian, you seem to have frozen. If you think that is the case and it's not returnable, hang up and call me back. There he is. But I can't see your face. I mean, you're not moving.
I'm calling back.
Hang up and call me back. All right, everybody. That boy ain't got no sense. He don't need sense. He's handsome. He's about to call me back. All right, let's see if we got him going again. Let me call him. I think I hung up. There we go. Let's see if that works. Brian, are you there? Let me do a little refresh. I don't know if this will work. Brian, let me call you. There we go. Wow. We'll try again. We'll call in heaven. It's a long queue. Wow. So what we're going to do is hang out. I know, knowing Brian, he's going to call me as soon as he can. So Center of Light Radio is back. I got to contact Mr. Gavin Lee Davies. I had some guest in queue, but when the computer went down, there he is. No, Brian, I don't hear you, nor do I see you. We're not connecting, brother. I'm going to try calling you again. It's not happening. Always messing with stuff. There we go. This one's going to work. How do I know? Because I know. Oh. Brian, are you there yet? I don't know what to say, sir. Maybe you can close your Skype and open it again and call me back. I was looking forward to this so much. Hello, Elaine. Hello, Rena. Brian, you are simply not there, sir. Taking calls on the wild card line. 1-800-827-5522. I'm calling on Skype, he says, and I'm about to tell him I know. Let's try again, Brian. At least it's a great test for the technology. Hello, everyone. Thank you for your patience. It'll resolve soon. Hello, 5 of you. Let's see what's happening on YouTube. Robert, as well as Dr. KK and Summer Fusion. Hello. Robert says, blessed are the ones who have patience. Well, all right. Let's try this again. I hear something.
All right, I'm
there
on.
He
There we go.
Yes.
So when I was a kid, I used to pray for more watts, and these days I'm praying for more bandwidth.
Yeah, right. Bro, you went through a wormhole. Pretty hellacious.
I don't know what happened.
How was your journey?
Fantastic. I smell like a genius.
You are a genius. Good to see you, bro. What's been happening in your world? I know you're an LA boy, but right now you happen to be on the Northeast Coast.
We're live, aren't we?
Live as can be. Or are we dead and we enjoying the dream?
Jesus, aliens, and hot crispy chicken. That's what's been going on.
I love it.
Yeah.
Hot crispy chicken. I've talked about Jesus and aliens, but I've never done much on the hot crispy chicken.
Well, you know, down the street from you in Memphis is, I'm sure, a hot crispy chicken place every 2 blocks, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't it?
I love me that Popeyes do.
Yeah, but
Popeyes
you know,
rocks.
in Tennessee, like Nashville's all the hot chicken, right?
Yeah. Ah, and the hot chicks too.
Yeah. Why not? So yeah, can you tell me? And let me ask you a few questions.
Sure.
I know for almost everybody, these last couple of years have just been so weird. And have you broken down and broken through like most people, including the computer?
Yeah, I was not affected emotionally. At first, it felt a little wonky. It felt like, getting into a current that just suddenly pulls you in, like in a swimming pool when you used to do a whirlpool kind of thing. And you're in the center, you want to test the water. You step out of the nucleus or the center of the storm, the eye of the storm where it's calm, and you move into the river a little bit, and it pulls you in, and it pulled me. And then more redonkulous stuff on top of redonkulous stuff began to happen. But I found my equilibrium pretty quick. And like you and I talked about a little earlier today, back in the heyday, kids playing music, I love being out. I love hanging and kissing some necks and, kissing some cheeks and hugging some necks. And now people say, hey, what are you doing tonight? Not a goddamn thing. I love this chair. I love this place. How about yourself, sir?
Well, so I'm most interested in what people do to keep their frequency high. And that's and whenever they get knocked off their little, I feel like we're almost like spinning tops. And if you take a big chunk out of a spinning top that's spinning around, it'll just wobble like crazy. And I feel like most people wobbled a lot in the last couple years. And I'm interested in, I mean, I can share my ideas on what tips and tricks and tools that I use to like get back to the not wobbling so much. But I've been wobbling a lot these last 3 years, and it's been more difficult than normal. And I think part of it is you and I have such a big interest in evolving or changing or growing that we're basically asking our spirit to give us new challenges. And so here they come. And so be careful when you start to say, "Hey, spirit, give me some new tricks and tips and tools," then the world crumbles so that you'll learn something new. And have you found that to be true? And do you have anything new that you can offer us? Because I want to know. I want some new ones.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My something new is stop. Just stop. Seriously. If I was to offer one powerful piece of a nugget, stop. This is a time to really sit back and evaluate the world, and you will best do that by evaluating yourself. There's a large difference between emotion and feeling. Feeling is where it's at. Emotion is where it was. Feeling implies I'm connected. I have a feeling. Emotion implies I'm reacting to something. I have an emotion, even a good one. Wow, that's an emotion. Yeah, I'm reacting to something. It's my praise. Oh, I don't like that so much. It's punishment, it's a devil, and it's blame. And these are emotions, and they go, and which is fantastic. We're here to have emotions. But feeling is truly a conscious way, a conscious disposition of getting back into the center of the pool. Because right now, the turbulence around the entire swimming pool, the cesspool, if you will, is getting strong.
Yes, you're awesome, and
You're sexy.
Well, no, so check it out. We talk about manifestation and spirituality and so on, and all this woo-woo talk about how to manifest, and then people kind of refer to manifestation as you just have to think it. You just think it, and it shows up. And the film The Secret. Oh, just imagine how rich you are, and then it'll show up. But it's not that. It's not just that. And you can rewind about 150 years to or no, is it 150? Yeah. No, it's about 100 years ago. In 1926, there was a book written called The Secret of the Ages by a guy named Robert Kohler. And Robert talked about that you have to manifest, you do have to think it, but you do have to feel it too. And so then there's all these speakers that are talking now, like Abraham Hicks, who channels this energy of Abraham, but she speaks the truth. And Bashir or whatever, this guy, and he also speaks the same truth of. And here's both their truths. Exactly what you said, which is you have to not only think it and be clear on what you want or what you desire. That's important, number one. But then you have to actually, to truly manifest it, you have to put it in your heart and place the feeling as if you already have it. And instead of it thinking, oh, in the future I will be this, you be that now. You get the result now, and so that's the key. And you and I have been talking about this for many years, and we have both been practicing it. And just like shooting basketball free throws, sometimes you just have a bad streak, and you start missing them all, and then you have to practice again. And so no matter how enlightened or spiritual or knowledgeable or whatever I get, I still fall off my horse half the time and have to get up through the muck and try to get back on and redo the practice again and relearn how to ride, And
have you got let's use this word. Again, for people, I'm going to say this until I know that everybody gets it on a hundredth monkey effect level. I'm not going to defend my words anymore. I'm not going to even quote them. You take me out of context, it's your, it's your issue. Have you gotten stuck during this 2 years of beautiful possibility, but the slap across the face when you ain't looking, the sucker punch? Did you get kind of bogged down a little while, kind of emotional, woo-wooed? How was that for you, bro?
Um, I got kicked and kicked and kicked again. And I found myself uh, sort of offered an opportunity that most people don't get to have. I got to go to Hawaii for 5 months during that whole COVID time. And I was in paradise, yet I was miserable. Just because, and so I think the opposite is true. You can be happy anywhere and you can be miserable anywhere. And so I found out that. So the choosing to be happy, to choosing to feel the feeling you desire. And so when you think, oh, I want this, really look inside of what the feeling that the result of getting that will bring, and then choose to bring that feeling to yourself now, and then that thing or whatever will be attracted more to you, and you probably will raise your frequency so high that you don't even desire it anymore. Like,
Yeah, because like you said earlier, just think you're going to be a multi-gazillionaire. And that's part of the equation. That's the first step. You have to begin to start the process, have an idea moving in the stream. But the reason that's not enough, because the vibration is too high. It's too higher stratospheric, if that's a word. So when we bring it into the emotional body, then it becomes the bridge between heaven on the earth. It's not on the earth yet. The emotional body, the feeling body rather, is the bridge. Heaven, earth, Jesus, here. This is where the two planes intersect. So many people don't know. I just came across this a few years ago by just a realization of looking at an image of Christ. If we look at Jesus on this crucifix, here's the heaven plane and the earth plane. And both of those planes intersect in his heart. So he's given us a tell without telling us anything. This is the manifestation. It's the feeling base. So as you were saying earlier, just thinking rich is not enough. And if you want to take it a step further, instead of also feeling it, you have to be it. When you are these things, so much so, not only am I beginning to feel it, that it's become default. It's become second nature's automatic pilot. I've been doing a lot of manifestation work surrounding prosperity and on all levels, particularly financially. Though I'm fine as I am, I want more money. I want more fucking money. Why? Because I want more freedom and the power that it gives me to do things, because that is a manifestation of the physical world in exchange. So I want to learn more about the exchange game from what I have to offer and what I have to gain and da-da-da-da. But I've been doing these meditations, these audio bites over and over at night when I go to sleep. Om Sri Mahalakshmi Namaha. I play this over and over, and I see not only little manifestations happening. I see a penny. But I'll go, oh, thank you, Lakshmi. I do. But then I realize that Robert sent me some stuff in the mail today. And so I'm seeing all, not just in a logical, intellectual kind of way. I'm starting to see the connection that the goddess, Lakshmi, the aspect of God that is abundance on all levels, I'm beginning to connect the dots, and it's beginning to integrate. So yeah, I think feeling is the middle ground. It's the bridge between heaven and earth.
So a lot of what I connect to is body, the physical body, the mental or ego mind thing, and then the spirit. And I had a near-death experience, which means that I actually got to connect to this higher spirit. And most of us, realize that we think in our body, and they talk a lot about body-mind stuff. But when you really get to knowing that there's a spirit also observing the whole thing or driving the whole thing, then that's the eternal part, the part that doesn't die when this body and this ego go away. That eternal spirit sticks around, and that's the thing that keeps the lessons and keeps the learning and sort of takes it back to the collective and shares it with the collective as knowledge and wisdom for all for eternity. This is my version of it. So when I look into, we're going to go back to Jesus now. When I go to Christianity, they talk about Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Well, the Father's like the mind. Father. Son is like Jesus, the body. That's the physical. So Father, Son, and then they kind of, in most churches, they kind of just whisper off on the Holy Spirit, and they talk about Jesus and God, but they don't talk about the Holy Spirit. And so in manifestation, with a lot of this New Age movement and so on, we talk a lot about body mind, and we talk a lot about this thinking things, and now we're starting to talk about feeling it. But I actually created 20 some years ago, I was working with Deepak Chopra, and I was really trying to get into it. And I drew out what looks like the Illuminati, that little triangle with the all-seeing eye in the middle of it. It's like, what are they talking about? What is this thing? And then I wrote Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And then I wrote the body, mind, spirit thing around it, body, mind, spirit. And so then I realized what's the body? The body feels things. And what's the mind? That thinks things. So you have to think it, you have to feel it. And then I went to spirit. And what's that about? And so you just said you have to be it. And that's one of those that I wrote there. And become it, or so thinking, feeling. And for me, the be it turned into be and live, believe it. And so I have to believe it. And that's not thinking, believing. That's like embodying it, or so it is part of that being. And so to me, you and I are speaking the same truths, just slightly different words or whatever.
Sure.
And
I love that you said, as we both are talking now, about God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Father, higher mind, not the the monkey, the higher mind, the clear mind. What is Father? It's all imagination. God created us in his image and his likeness and his similitude. So the idea that we have of God is the highest ideal that we believe that we deserve and or can reach. So that would be higher mind. And then body, as you said, would be feeling. And Holy Spirit would be backbone, because it's the finger of God literally moving to finish a mission or a command or a service call. You look at the old movie Ten Commandments. When the angel of death, right, descended upon the city. This is the finger of God moving. Without God's instruction for something to happen, no Holy Spirit begins to move anywhere. And so I think Holy Spirit is definitely action, because it brings about the will of Creator. And so when we go back to taking action, that curves back within itself. So that's the fourth component, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, which would be holding an idea, feeling an idea, beginning to process the idea, manifest the idea, and the realization that comes from the effects of doing the work creates a new you, which is the fourth component. It brings it back to the Father, the Creator. I got what just happened.
Last bit, could you explain one more time that last little fourth?
Yeah, sure. So we have Father, Son, Holy Spirit, higher mind, body, Son, feeling, and then taking action would be the movement of the Spirit. It brings about the result of what you've been working on. The movement of my spirit. I want this to be in my life. Same as with God consciousness. God's finger is the Holy Spirit, so to speak. But when we go through the processes of these three levels, and like me, when I'm getting the ahas of doing those meditations with Lakshmi, those ahas are a new me. Because I just had a realization. And in this realization, I fall back into Creator land, which is number one. So it's this endless cycle of 1, 2, 3 for sure. And every epiphany we get, the circle starts over and over and over and over and over and over. It's a process that's turned within itself.
I know you and I have spoken about this. There's these in most religions we talk about this frequency thing, or the first thing that started creation was sound or vibration, or there was a word. And when we chant we use the word om. And you and I have talked about the way that I was working with Deepak Chopra, and he explained to us that for om it's not just om. It was actually three feelings, or three thoughts, feelings, and believing, or whatever it is. And so here's what they were. It was like open your heart. Ah, that feels good. And then like that feels good. And then yum, and and that together creates this feeling within you, that when you're chanting, if you feel the feeling instead of just going through the motions of the words or the sound or the frequency, but you actually feel the frequency inside of you, and you feel the release of and it's almost like, for me, is a little surprise, and is pulling it in, and is really embodying it, something. I don't know how that all works, but I know with manifestation, or with meditation, sometimes I've been given a mantra, and it's like three syllables too, and it's almost like one of them uh, is the spirit coming into me, into the body. The other one is my body connecting with my mind, and then the other one's my mind connecting back out there to the thing. It's like, we just talked about the triangle. It's almost like that's the connecting pieces of the three: body, mind, spirit. It's and so that's sort of the purpose of the three syllable mantra. And so I don't know how that all works, but I try to wake up almost like a little happy dog, and my mantras are kind of real simple. My life is unfolding in goodness, and my life is on course. That's one of my mantras. My life is unfolding in goodness. My life is on course. Believe it or not, I got that from an artist that I used to produce named Ray Wiley Hubbard, who's like a Texas troubadour that's a brilliant songwriter. And he's the one who told me that my life is unfolding in goodness. My life is on course. And then it's really just embodying the feeling that I desire to have, instead of the list of things I want to have. It's the feeling that they bring me. And so I just sit there with the goofy smile on my face, the fake smile, and I just fake smile it, And I fake smile, and see what happened to you. You just got a smile on your face, because I'm smiling too.
Right now, everybody else, it's contagious.
It's contagious. So I fake the smile, and then I actually start smiling, and you smile too. And so whenever I'm miserable, sometimes I actually fake the smile. Like, I'll be out at the grocery store, I'll fake the smile, and and then what happens is I look up at someone with the fake smile on me, and then they fake smile back, they smile back, and then I actually have a real one. And so, life is contagious. So if we,
I don't know about you, but if we're in a don't laugh situation, don't look at me.
Yeah.
Everyone, Keith Anthony Blanchard here, the Return of Center of Light Radio, doing a test on the most perfect person I can do. Welcome back online test with my friend, Mr. Brian Harden. Welcome, everyone. It's good to see you. Brian, just a minute ago, you were talking about we were talking about Om, the primordial sound of the universe. It's the glue that holds all the things we perceive as empty space, emptiness in between the things that we perceive. It's the glue that holds all that together. When you were talking about Om, the primordial sound, the primordial vibration of the cosmic goop, right? And then you started using it in the form of Well, if we look at the different Hindi names, Buddhist names, certain sects of ancient Christianity, all these names of God are Jesus, Ananda, Buddha, Krishna, Paramahansa, Yogananda, Anandamayi Ma, And what happens when someone tells us a joke? Karma, if you will. The riddle comes back around, and it will keep repeating until we go, I get it. So, is enlightenment. It's the universal sound of bliss, joy, realization. Ah, even in a sexual pleasure manner. Ah, right? So I love the English language because it is going to be the final language. All languages will exist, but ah, in its many different guises, like down here, Yanava. Father, the heart, Son, Holy Spirit. So it's all of these different aspects. And looking in the chat room on Facebook, I see Sister Tammy Collins says A-E-I-O-U.
And sometimes why?
Sometimes why? Why not? So, Brian, what's been happening, bro? Anything new? And I wanted to say, you and I, we are the same creature. I'm the middle finger, you're the middle finger, or whatever. But I had a blessed opportunity, exactly like you, in 1992. A friend of mine, we were at a club right down the street, rock bar, the biggest rock bar in Memphis. And hey, Jeff, what's happening? He was the bass player. He still is bass player for Jefferson Starship, our Starship. And so, what's been happening? I hadn't seen him in a while. He was in town for Christmas because he was in Seattle. How's your cover band? Man, we're doing great. Y'all touring? Yeah, we're doing. So where you been? Wherever he was. I said, so where you going next? We're going to Hawaii. And I was joking. I said, you need a sound man? I was being flippant. He said, actually, we do. He says, you don't need to give me your resume, Keith. I already heard you. So he said, I'm going to get you there. I said, whatever. So 2 nights later, I get a phone call. Hey, bro, what you doing tonight? Nothing. Yeah, you are. I ain't doing nothing tonight. He said, yeah, you are. He said, meet me at State Stop. I said, bro, he said, Keith, meet me at State Stop. I said, all right. So I got there. We all got sat down, had a round of drinks. I said, so what's up, bro? He pulls out his wallet, and he gives me an envelope. I said, what's that? He says, Keith, open the fucking envelope, bro. So I opened it up, and it was a round-trip ticket to Hawaii. And so all expense paid. I got paid for it. No setup, tear down. We go there. We set up the first day, tore down the last day. Was there for 2 months. I loved it, Brian. It was a landmark for me because it was when I truly started walking forward. I would sit on the North Shore where the water would just come up to me waist high with a Walkman and Anya's Shepherd Moon album over and over. And it just created this opening for me. What, other than the near-death experience, well, was it the near-death experience that created that opening for you to a level of absolute majesty?
Of course. Well, yeah, I died. I got on the operating table after 7.5 hours of internally bleeding. I had a ruptured spleen, and I got to come out of my body, see myself from above, and observe them working on me. And like there was no emotion to it. It was just like something's happening. So what? And then I go into the space that I reviewed my life, and I was 16 years old, and my life was really good. And so my review of my life were incidents that I was to learn from, and some of them were great, and some of them were horrible. But the most horrible one I had was modest compared to what most people's version of horrible was. And anyway, I ended up reviewing my life, and once we got through, or I got through.
Whoa! Hold up right there. You can't just glaze right over that, bro. You throw a biscuit out there and not expect me to bite?
Okay.
I got to review my life. You can't just stop there.
All the good things and all the bad things. Well, actually,
I know what it's like. I know what it's like because, long story short, I had an experience where I was laying in a field and my whole life review happened. So, but I want to know what it was like for you to find a commonality. What was it like when this infinite movie began to play for you?
All right, well, so there's a couple punchlines that come through this. One of the punchlines is exactly what you're looking for, which is in the review of my life, it was all the good things and all the bad things. And after each one, it was almost like, did you learn your lesson? So even though I speak this right now, and I spoke this years and years ago, and I've known this for seemingly since that 16-year-old thing, I still have to practice it, which is I have to look at everything as a lesson. So even the worst thing that happens to me or the greatest thing that happens to me, what's the lesson in it? And is there a lesson? So we often get carried away with our misery, and it's almost like, we have this pet
For
misery.
some people, misery is their happiness.
We have this pet misery, and oh, this is my pet misery, and it's just like a little puppy. It gets you attention. And look at my misery. Oh, look at my misery. Oh, and then we talk about the misery, and it really, it's looking at what the lesson the misery is supposed to teach us, and not let it get us attention, but instead look for the lesson, move forward, and move
So
along.
let me ask you this, bro. Let me ask you this. That's really juicy stuff because, okay, as everything you just described, it's supposed to be a lesson and a blessing. And so to get us out of this karma, this cycle, so we can get the
Aha.
why do people, no judgment, remember, I'm not going to defend myself. Why do people know that but do nothing? Is there such a thing called a spiritual laziness? They're just not interested. You shouldn't delve in such things. I mean, what is your take on using your wisdom? Why don't people go the next step to go, I understand this keeps happening to me. Everyone says I'm an idiot.
Well, remember, we're all human, and I wouldn't doubt that the Pope and the Dalai Lama and Eckhart Tolle and anybody you consider spiritual. I got the chance to work with Dalai Lama, with Deepak Chopra, and one day he comes to the back of the room where I was doing the sound and all the video and lights and other things, and he comes back to me. He goes, "What am I teaching on today?" He usually taught for an hour and a half or so. And so I say, it's on judgment. And so he goes up and speaks on judgment for an hour, and then when he's finished, he comes back to the back of the room where I am, and he says, "So how did I do?" And I fell over laughing. I actually am laying on the ground, laughing, holding my sides. So I'm laughing so hard. And he's looking down over top of me and says, "What are you laughing at?" I said, "I'm laughing at you." And he said, "Oh, I should pay attention more to what I teach, because I said, you want me to judge you." And so we all do that. It doesn't matter how enlightened you are. I feel like all these lessons we have, you learn about judgment, and then you go around the earth a little while, and it might be 1 year, a few months, or several years, or it might be 13 years, or whatever the cycle is, and eventually get it back around to a place where you learn about judgment again at another higher level. And then you learn a bunch of other lessons, and then eventually you get to another higher level version of judgment. And so compassion is one of those that's kind of like that I learned about. That there's a guy named, I can't pronounce his name. He's a lama, like a Buddhist guy named Chung Rum Tropunk or something. I don't know. But he talked about two types of compassion: actual compassion and idiot compassion. And so I'm one of those kind of, I guess you could say, codependents. I'm one of those guys that, my mom and my grandmother and my father and they always gave. So I was brought up to learn how to give. And at some point, if you give too much without getting anything back, you get taken advantage of, and you become a big sucker that take advantage of me, right? And so I had plenty of that in my life. And so the compassion isn't just giving. It's actually setting some rules, regulations, and boundaries that go with that giving, and knowing that sometimes what you need to give is something harsh. Could be like, so actual compassion and idiot compassion. So here's my idiot compassion. Someone would, and now this didn't necessarily happen exactly like this, but I'm giving you a short little version. If someone borrows my car, gets drunk at night, wrecks my car, and then leaves along the side of the road and comes back, and then doesn't want to pay for the car, and idiot compassion would be, "Oh, it's okay, no problem," right? That we'll go get the car, and you can owe me some money, and then they never pay you, right? And that's idiot compassion. Well, actual compassion might be to put them in jail for drunk driving, because what they might really need is to go to jail for drunk driving, so then they'll stop drinking or whatever. They pay the price. So two types of compassion. Now, I exhibited idiot compassion all of my life, and I got run over. I got abused in many ways. That it wasn't horrible, but it was a habit of me to continually giving, even when I got taken advantage of. And so, setting rules, regulations, and boundaries are part of compassion. And so we don't see that all the time. And I think not only with compassion, but with many of our other attributes in spirituality, we see it only partially, but we don't see it completely until you spin around a couple times and get higher levels of it. Did you agree?
Yeah, that's part of the cycle that I was talking about. You know, something happens, we experience it, we do something about it, or not doing something about it is still doing something about it unconsciously. And then it all starts over again, whether it's a cycle of chaos, madness, and insanity, or one of order, balance, and just joy. So yeah, I mean, everything is cyclical. Day by, a minute ago, that was a minute ago. Here's a new minute. That was a cycle. 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, a month, week, year, whatever, hour. Everything is cyclical. And, truly, I believe this truly. We are not the same human being I was yesterday. We're not. Well, yeah, I'm still the same guy, but not really. It depends on how far in the quantum mechanical level we want to go to experience where there was an actual change, an actual shift, an actual upgrade. Because there is no such thing as backward progress. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as backwards. Because even in our lesson, we're moving forward. We might take 2 steps backwards. I mean, 1 step backwards and 2 forward.
It's cha-cha. That's called a cha-cha.
Right. The spirit of cha-cha.
Well, life is like a cha-cha. 2 step forward, 1 step back.
Yeah.
So,
what do you have coming in the near future, bro?
Well, actually, before we go there,
we're not done. We got a while if you want. That's okay.
No, let's go and finish the near-death experience. So I review my life.
Oh, that's right. My bad.
I review my life. I get to this place where every experience was either good or bad, and it didn't matter. The same question came up: did you learn your lesson? So the question I have in my life is to look at whatever's going on. Is there a lesson there? Okay, so that was one of the big things. The second big thing didn't happen until I was out of all the life review, and all that was left was this sort of light at the end of the tunnel. And I go to this, go towards this light, whatever that was, and it wasn't like there was a big pearly gate that opened up and there was a guy there that looked like Santa Claus and welcome, come on in, Brian. It wasn't any being there for me. Instead, it wasn't a room like a white room where you had a floor and a couch over here and everything was in white. It was just this energy. It was like this energy enveloped me of love, of familiarity, and it wasn't just that energy, but it was all knowingness. It was as if I got in that energy, I got plugged back in to the mainframe of all of God, of the collective. And at that space, it was almost as if I knew everything of all time for that little split second window or whatever, how long I was plugged in. And it was like I was feeding all of my life experiences and all of my knowledge back in. And at the same time, I could use that database and pull down all of the catalog of wisdom. And so in that little, I don't know if it was a split second or 10 years or whatever it was that I was plugged in, but it was long enough that I was observant that it felt like the all. And that was my pure spirit in my eyes, my pure spirit connecting with that God or the all or whatever. And so it didn't have an identity and a face. It was energy of love. And at that space, I was asked a question, not in English or any other language that I could understand. And it wasn't words or sound that I heard, but the question was kind of, and this wasn't words, so I don't. It was kind of like, have you fulfilled your life's purpose? And so we all have a life's purpose. And I think generally speaking, our each individual life purpose is the same as life itself, which is, if you have a little bug or a worm or an amoeba or whatever, everything wants to live. It wants to procreate. It wants to create and continue. And it wants its life to create other life. And so, have I fulfilled my life's destiny? No, put me back. And so the moment I thought that, or felt that, or whatever it was, or believed that, whatever think, feel, believe, or the moment that happened, I went back into the life review, and for the second time, did the life review. Did you learn your lesson? Did you learn your lesson? So the two big questions that I got were, did you learn your lesson? And have you fulfilled your life's purpose? So most people that aren't seeking spirituality, to me, well, here, I don't care what you believe. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care if you believe in the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. I don't care if you the Church of the Subgenius. I don't care what you believe. I care because the seeking and the belief will get you lessons. So I believe that every religion has great things about it, even the Flying Spaghetti Monster religion, because it wants you to connect to all and to each other and seek. And every religion has the potential for horrible things, because it's all run by man, and egos and money and power and greed are behind a lot of religions, and it doesn't matter what it is. So we have an opportunity in all religions and all things to have experiences, and it doesn't matter. Like down the street from where I'm at right now is all the Mennonites. And you would think, oh, they're all so sweet, nice people. Well, they had a beautiful dairy that had organic dairy, and one of the guys took advantage of all the other Mennonites and took all the millions of dollars and closed down the whole thing. And it was a community thing, and he tried to screw over the whole community. And it's like just greed, So we all do it. It doesn't matter if it's the Italian mafioso or some gangster from the hood, or if it's the Tibetans or in Rome, or the Vatican. I mean, there's opportunity to get greedy and to go further just because of power or whatever, or being worshipped, and so there's lessons within all that. So I guarantee you, the Pope, the Dalai Lama, Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, or whoever you think is cool, Oprah Winfrey, they're all putting on their pants. They're all aging. They're all having problems, and they all learn lessons, And so we're all learning lessons. There's no lesson-free life, and there's no end to it. It's like life is like juggling. You can always, if you can juggle 2 balls, yay. If you juggle 3, oh, that's harder. 4, well, I mean, most people juggle 2 balls and they think they're a juggler, and with enlightenment, oh yeah, I'm enlightened. No, you're juggling 2 balls. Try 6. There's always more lessons. It's like math. You can always add another 0. It's infinite. And so it doesn't matter how wise I think I am one day or 1 week or 1 hour or 1 minute. The next day I get cut off on the interstate and I want to just cuss the guy out. And it's like, dude, relax.
I know that feeling very well. In fact, in Memphis, there's 240 and 40 East.
Yeah.
And 40 West. I do not ride on Satan's highway. I will go 15 minutes out of the way and enjoy the scenic route. I will not get on the devil's highway. Fuck that. These people are crazy. When I see let's say there's 6 lanes, and you're in lane C, and then these two are completely open. Some knucklehead is going to come right behind you and start to want to screw you in your ass to switch lanes, to move in front, to the next lane to cut in front of you. There's nobody behind us. Why didn't you just switch lanes way back then and just pass me up? And it's like, bro, unconsciousness.
And,
So,
and you gotta also realize with that unconsciousness that they're your teacher. They're teaching your
yeah,
patients.
it's teaching me how to be conscious. Wishing I had bigger mirrors. When you were talking about when you in your near-death experience, when you were approaching the threshold of having this life review, I already know the answer because you gave it, but I want to make sure that I know the answer. You said that there was a familiarity with God with you. So I was going to ask, before you said it, did it feel like, wow, I'm having this experience? Or when this experience began to be had, did it feel like, I remember all this? Was it a memory, a remembering? It wasn't just like, wow, you came back and told the story of something that happened. It's like, I've always known this shit. It just took this to happen for me to get it.
Well, when I first talked about going to that light spot, it felt like home. It felt like that's where part of me, which is my spirit, you think the third eye or whatever, that spirit is always there and tapping into. And that was the release of that spirit being also connected to my mind, ego, and my body. It had released the ego mind, it had released the body, and it said, let's go home. And once I got to the home base said, or heaven or whatever you want to call that, said, hey, are you sure you're done with the body? And I was like, no, put me back. I'm not done with all the lessons yet. And so I popped back into the body. And and here's the funny part. So then I'm back in the body, and I don't know it yet. And I find myself opening my eyes, and this room is all white, and it's all kind of quiet. And I look around, and I'm starting to move around a little bit, and start to open my eyes. And this guy comes up to me wearing all white, and I say to him, "Are you an angel?" And he says, "No, I'm your nurse." So I ended up thinking my nurse was my angel, and he's like, go back to sleep. And I said, water, I need water. And he
Right.
gave me a little water, and he says, go back to sleep, you'll be fine. So the next day I woke up, and my mom was in there, and she was giving me a little sponge bath, and there was a birthmark on my back at this one little spot where when you're internally bleeding, like my spleen busted. I had a ruptured spleen. And so all the nerves from that spleen go somewhere. And they actually go to this place on the middle of my back, this side of my back. And it was so inflamed there that it gave me a birthmark. And I consider that my rebirth mark. And that I had.
Well, I would say that's, in my levels of understanding, integrations, experiences, and beliefs, that is not far. That is actually not far from the truth. The fact that you had this happen and there's now a birthmark that you happen to call a rebirth mark. Theory is, if you have a birthmark in any particular part of your body, it is very likely that said past life, which is not really in the past, just another life. If you have a scar in your neck, a birthmark in your neck, maybe you get stuck in your neck and war on the battleground, someone stuck a dagger right in your freaking throat. If you got a whatever, maybe you had your head cut off. If you have something on your arm. So I was just taken back by the fact that you said my birthmark, my rebirth mark, because a lot of these transitions, a lot of these beliefs on my last life, we may not think about my last life, but somewhere in the psyche, in the subconscious, it's carried over in the DNA, the spiritual DNA, the emotional DNA. So do you feel that, do you know, I'm playing now, this is fun for me. Do you have any memory of said past life that might have created this rebirth mark for you?
And I'm glad when you asked, you said, did you think? You didn't say, did you think? You said, do you feel? And so I want all the listeners to hear that clearly. You use the word do you feel that? And that's another level of all of us shifting up. Instead of I think we ought to do things, you are what you think, you're also really what you feel. So thank you so much for that. And it's almost like do you think, do you feel, do you believe? Or whatever what you said, do you being. So I use the word believe because it's be and live. So did I freeze up? I think I froze up.
It'll probably refresh itself. I
Please
can do it.
refresh. Okay.
There you
Oh,
go.
there
There
we
you
go.
are.
Yay.
But yeah,
S-
I want to say thank you, Brian,
mhm.
Katie, you people, myself, this platform, God in creation. I had a serious computer crash. I was needing my drug. I needed some Godsmack, y'all. But I was patient. I was enjoying the time away, and everyone stepped up. I love you
Thank
for it.
you.
Everyone, yeah, thank you. Everyone stepped up, and I'm having no issues whatsoever. My technology is really punchy. I'm really big on technology. I love the power of being able to do what I do. And so, Brian, thank you for being
I
the
love our
guinea pig.
conversations. We actually
Yeah,
just go
we
there.
always talk.
No,
Brian, you still got a little more in you, bro? You got another
oh
half
yeah, we're
hour in you?
supposed to give a hot chicken crispy chicken recipe. Does
Yeah,
anybody,
so let
if
me do a
someone
song
has
break.
a really good hot crispy chicken recipe, please send it. Send it to us, and then we'll cook it up at the break, and then we'll each taste it. Right? We're gonna have a taste test.
All right. So I say I take a song break because I got to use a little boy bathroom and I need a water break. I'll play a Lavender Soul song or one of my new songs on my soon-to-be new album. I do plan, hopefully, seriously, to come see you this summer.
Good.
Now, whether I'll have some songs, maybe I can bring those tracks and whatever. Point that's here or there. Point is, I do plan to come see you soon. So I'm gonna play you. Let's see, something from Lavender Soul, Old Keith or New Keith. How about something New Keith? I'm gonna take a song break. Gonna be right back. Everyone, tonight I've been hanging out with my Braham sandwich, Mr.
Is it gonna
Brian
be
David
about
Hartman.
5 minutes or how long?
Do you think, bro? You got 5 minutes over
All
here?
right. Good.
I'm trying to think of the groove. That's the one. Stick
That's
around.
I can't seem to figure things
That
out.
wasn't the one.
Maybe everything I claim to know is absolute bullshit. Where else can I go but inward? Nothing in the outside has ever brought me some
You want
sort
me to
of
play a
peace.
song?
I once heard from a friend about something called some.
You can because it didn't work out as I planned. You
Oh,
got a
that's
song?
hilarious. You know, I was just joking. Wait, I
No,
gotta
but,
look for.
but still, that being,
I gotta do this.
I love it. No, I thought you had a song because mine, I had a screen that was missing. So I was gonna say if you're gonna play a song, make sure I don't get a copyright
Well,
tanking
ask me
on
a
my
question and I'll
hiney.
talk for a few minutes while you go. What are you gonna do? Go.
Hey, bro, don't ask shit you ain't supposed to know about. You're on a need to know basis with me, bro.
So what can I talk about? Do we ask for hot chicken, crispy chicken?
Well, I tell you what, ladies and
Or
gentlemen, let
do
me
we talk
introduce
about
you to.
aliens? Should I talk about aliens for five
Well,
minutes?
I tell you what, I'm gonna go do what I need to do. You
I'll talk
talk
about
about
aliens then.
Jesus, aliens, and hot crispy
Yeah,
chicken, and
because
I'll,
we
I'll
haven't
meet you in
gotten
the
on
combo.
aliens. So, all right, we'll talk about
It's all
aliens.
you,
I don't
bro.
know much about aliens, but I'll tell you my version of it. Okay. So, hi everybody. Now our talk about aliens. So I've never seen an alien. I've never smelled an alien, and I don't know any aliens. Actually, I probably do know aliens. I just don't know they're aliens. Probably dated a few, and I look. If you type this in fact, play at home with me. If you type this in, that how big is the universe? The universe, that one song, universe, one song. I'm gonna bring up Google right now. The Google God is coming up, and hopefully it won't mess up my internet. It says that all in all, Hubble Space Telescope reveals that an estimated 100 billion galaxies are in our universe. 100 billion universities are in our universe, or so. But this number is likely to increase to about 200
I think Brian got.
See,
He got. Where are you, sir? Are you still there?
yes.
There you are. Well,
Yeah,
you must have had a
did I get cut
drop.
off?
You did. Well,
I
something
must
happened.
have
You had a drop.
So we were talking about universe or one song. It says that there is about 100 billion galaxies in our universe. 100 billion. And it says as our telescope technology gets better and better. See, we had a Hubble telescope, it was like 20 or 30 years ago. And as our telescope technology gets better, which it did as of just a couple of months ago in December, they launched a brand new telescope that can see many, many, many times beyond what the Hubble could see. And so we think there's between 100 to 200 billion galaxies in our universe, but it could be way, 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 way more than that. We don't know how far is. And at the moment, we're seeing, we talk that the speed of light is almost unimaginable for us. Wow, light travels so fast. Well, the nearest star that we look up with our bare eyes and see up in the sky, the nearest star is about 8 light years away, meaning the light coming from that star has been traveling at the speed of light for 8 years for us to see it. So it might not even be there. It might be gone. And when we look with the Hubble Space Telescope, which has now been obsolete, when we look at that, we can see literally billions of light years into the past. Meaning a billion or so years ago, that light, that star was shining. And
didn't they just send a news telescope out there called the James whatever telescope? James what?
That's out there right now, and it just got launched in December. And so with that, if you just type this in, welcome, play along at home. If you type in how many planets have a chance that we've found so far have a chance of life. So when you look for life, you look for water. But if you're staring at a star with a telescope, it's hard to see the little planets that don't have light emitting from it. They're like little rocks spinning around.
Well, also because the brilliance of the star itself is overlighting anything that is smaller and tucked further away in the background. That's
so
for
it's
sure.
harder to see the planets. And so around the billions of galaxies, which is billions and billions of stars, because there's a bunch of anyway, it just keeps going. Like, whoa, what are we thinking? To think that we're the only ones here. And so let's rewind on Earth. 150 years ago, we had steam engines. Yay, we're going to take coal or wood, burn it, and then boil some water and then move an engine. Yay, great. That's fantastic that we can do that. We did not have indoor plumbing until about 120 years ago, when nearing the same time, we discovered electricity. Yay! And so we discovered electricity, we discovered automobiles and the gas engine, and we discovered flight, the ability to fly, all at the same era. And shortly after that, indoor plumbing. Yay. So now we're pooping in water. Great, right? Poop eyes. And so anyway, it turns out that you're advertising for Popeye's biscuits. So anyway, it turns out that all that was a remarkable time for humanity on this planet, because before that, everybody chopped wood and carried water. And if we imagine with that chopping wood and carrying water, that we couldn't travel more than a few dozen miles away from where you lived, so you couldn't experience the world like you do now. You couldn't see other cultures that easily. So it was remarkable that people were the Silk Road. They were trading over thousands of miles and taking boats around the world and things. It's amazing that all happened with just the wind and sails. And so all of that was remarkable. But so we were thinking in the body, in the physical world, that if I would have told you 150 years ago that we were going to take lightning bolts and we're going to take lightning bolts and we're going to run it through tubes and we're going to bring it into your home and we're going to have the light of the sun come into your house in the middle of the dark night and you'll just have to flick a little switch and it'll come on, you would think I was crazy.
You would have been executed.
Yeah.
You would have been burned at a stake.
That's crazy talk, right?
And burned like a snake.
That's the physical world. And then in the mental world, we started getting things like information age, like radio, television, telephone. And if I would have told you that, we were going to have a telephone where you're able to talk to people or even see people, or now that everybody was going to have, a little black box, a little cell phone, a little black box that we could not only see each other over, but the information of the entire world was there. So we went from the physical world, things that blew our mind, and then a few years later we actually manifest on them, to the mental world, things that have blown our mind. It sounded like crazy talk. In the 1980s, or 70s, when I was growing up, this would have been crazy talk, that you're going to have every song, your entire album collection and everything, and every video and every bit of information.
Well, Brian,
what
you were describing is something I've said for quite often, spaced out, that as you're describing this, this evolution, you big on evolution, the conscious evolution, evolving. The evolution, as you described all those years ago, that technology, think about the simple technology of burning coal and there's explosions that creates this momentum that allows an entire train in the 1800s and iron horse to move forward. That's simple, powerful technology. But when we look at the technology we have now, and you showed up the phone, if we look at God sort of like what you were describing, omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent, we look at the internet. We look at the internet. The internet has become the manifestation of omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence. Because the internet, the cosmic grid, the cosmic web, you have omniscience, God. Compared to the internet, all information exists on the internet, all information. The second component would be omnipotence. Information is power. And then we look at this very power, as we were talking about the triad trinity earlier, is completion, which is now we're in the period, the no time, if you will, of omniscience, omnipotence, all-knowing, all-power. I am everywhere. The I am everywhere is beginning to settle, not only in the world via this vehicle, but the many vehicles, and some of those vehicles look like coronavirus. Some of those vehicles look like war in Russia and Ukraine. So the divine consciousness from the higher ups to the feeling base is beginning to settle on the earth. That same trinity we talked about earlier, Brian.
Could I ask a question, which is, are you, with those three words, those are big words for me, because, whatever. But does it really mean that God, most of us initially believe God is out there. And then
Correct.
The second one is God is in here. It's I am part of God. God is here, experiencing God. And then the third one is God is within everything. Is that the three of omni?
There's really only three ideas we can have about it, actually. There's no other way around it. We can only have three ideas. One is the idea of God, which is absolutely unequivocally no different than one's idea of oneself. There is no difference. There's no way you can paint yourself out of this riddle. That's the idea. the imagination, God, the Father, the imaginative one, the Creator that created us in His image and His likeness. As I think, so things begin to move through the Son, through the Holy Spirit, which is my finger moving through the Son, daughter, whatever. The second component would be, we talked about all-knowing, and now we're moving into a feeling base. I'm in my power. I don't have emotions anymore. I'm feeling, dog. I'm feeling the shit, right? So that's the anchor, and that I am everywhere. I'm the presence, which means I am now present everywhere. Versus from a simple idea to a simple feeling, and beginning to integrate that, to actually beginning to manifest that on the earth. This is what we're doing individually as well as collectively. So yeah, it's always this trinity, this triad, always.
Think, feel, and believe. So can I return back and add to that, which is we're talking about the three things, which are body, mind, spirit. And so we talked earlier just for a minute about, we got electricity, we got it was really the Industrial Revolution. That was all the physical world. But we got airplanes, we got cars, we harnessed energy, and we got stuff. That's the physical world. And then the next one was the mental world. That was the information age, where we got our cell phone and telephone, television, and then all the information of the world's on the cell phone. And so everybody on the planet just suddenly has a library in their pocket, and they have a way of communicating to the rest of the world in their pocket. It's amazing. Even third world countries, it's amazing. They just skipped over the landlines and they went straight to Wi-Fi, so so that's body, and then mind, the mental stuff, and then the spiritual thing. So here, before the Industrial Revolution started and we got electricity and harnessed electricity in cars and so on, if 10 years before, if I would have told you about lightning bolts coming through tubes into your house, you would think I was crazy. And back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, if I told you that everybody's going to have a cell phone and walk around with the information of the world in a library in their pocket, you would have thought it was crazy. That's crazy talk. Well, the third one, which is spiritual, I'm imagining right now that in the next few years, it could be few months, could be few days, weeks, or decades. It could be even hundreds of years, till we evolve to a place where we're going to have another bump, where if you look back, when were the automobiles invented? When was electricity? And when was airplane flight? It's all around the same 10 or 20 years. There was this thing, and then so we've had bumps like this before in the physical world change, and what sounded like crazy talk, and then it happened and manifested for the world. In the information age, manifested for the world, and so now in the spiritual world, this spirituality we talk to where maybe we won't need language. We might be able to actually talk to each other and communicate with a better sense of feeling or frequency. And we don't need language. I know with musicians, we do that all the time. I don't need to talk to you. I can look at you, I can feel something, I can do a little thing, and then you'll follow it. And it's amazing how that all works. And we practice that as artists. But living like an artist is actually another story for most people, because they're in their head and they think I am what I think instead of I am what I feel. So you and I are all about that feeling. And so anyway, I'm hoping that we all have an evolution in consciousness to a place where we connect to a higher level, and there's some aha moments for the planet, and we don't play by those old paradigm rules. So back leading up to 2012, the Native Americans, like the Hopi and so on, were saying, it's the end of the world as we know it. It's not the end of the world. It's the end of the world as we know it. That old I think, and I am what I think. And then we're talking a lot lately about I am what I feel. But then you and I have been talking today about I really am what I think, feel, and believe, or be what you're becoming. And I personally don't believe that there's any end to it. Yes, I'm more enlightened today than I was yesterday. I'm about one day more enlightened, but it's like juggling. There's always more. And so you can't have an ego about your spirituality. There's no I am your guru. The biggest idiot on the planet is your guru and mine, right? Because they're teaching us patience, or they're teaching us whatever. The biggest liar, cheater, stealer, whatever, the guy who cuts you off is just teaching you a lesson, you know? And so there is the guru is just being observant to life, and how you're responding to life, because we have no control over what's going to happen to us. We only have control over how we respond to it. And so there's a guy named Peter Crone, and you know, he speaks really clearly. It's really about that acceptance of, like, every problem is an opportunity to learn and grow. So instead of bitching about your problems, accept it, and accept the problems, look for the lesson, and then let's grow. And so, I mean, I'm having a hard time of that these last couple of years. I mean, I can say it all I want, but boy, it's been hard for me, and because I've been kicked. And so that's what I'm doing right now. I feel like I'm shedding my skin, or I'm that butterfly, I'm that caterpillar that's stuck in the primordial goo, and I'm gonna pop out with the butterfly wings, and I can't even see my wings. And there's gonna be some little level soon of a version of myself that I couldn't even imagine, you know, because the caterpillar can't imagine the butterfly, you know. So something's gonna happen. I'm at least that's what I'm crossing my fingers on and hoping, you know. But I don't know.
Yeah, I something you said a minute ago was the world's changing. And not only is the world changing, how, more importantly, how we need to regauge, learn to think is important. Because what we think is happening, that first and foremost, as you said, that world is dead. It's over. So even though we're spiritually aware, if we're still thinking from that old world paradigm, thinking that this level of logic is going to make any sense, it's nonsense. It's still part of the same filter that's disguising, clouding, shrouding the light. We may get glimpses. There's no rush. There you go, brother. There is no rush. I get it. But there is a rush of current that is moving and grooving. Brian, it's getting loud. It's getting really, really loud. So as we talked about, actually, the very beginning of our time together was, maybe this time is to hermit, sit back, reflect, pause, literally disconnect. Your compassion will keep you connected, but disconnect. Just find yourself, because that same logic is not going to work anymore. It may still have some life left to a battery that you got another 10% left, but you don't want to get left behind. And it's not someone's blaming you, fighting you, the universe is against you. We are habitual in using our own intelligence against ourselves. It's like a sharp mind, a sharpened knife. Our intelligence is so sharp, but because we're ignorant, we keep turning that very dagger upon ourselves and slicing the shit of ourselves and expecting things to change. And we're looking for people to blame as the ones who cut us. But we don't realize that, we turn our own intelligence against ourselves. So how do you get out of not cutting yourself with the intelligence dagger? Stop thinking. Start feeling. Your feeling is your barometer to the new world. Your feeling is the platform you want to gauge your new world. There is only one truth, and the truth is there is no truth. But there is a truth which says how you feel to the ultimate level you have felt bliss is your compass. It's your post. It's your walk. It's your gate. And to the level that you could think that is, pales in comparison. So when
we just talked about think, feel, believe, or think, feel, and be, or become, or whatever that spiritual version is. I kind of wonder if related to that belief is sort of a combination of emotions of the thinking and feeling, and it's I don't know how to see when we talk about the in church they talk about the Holy Spirit. Like it's hard to identify that spirit. I actually got to touch that collective all, and it's hard to say what the omni all is. And and
Ooh, I like that. The omni all.
yeah,
You just coined a new word, bro.
the omni all. Thinking and feeling, that's body mind. But what that spirit is, and how we connect to it is I guess related to acceptance too. So in letting go of control, like we have no control over what's going to happen to us, but we have control over how we're going to respond. And so it might be, at least for me, this is when I talk to my spirit and say, hey, I'm enlightened. Yeah, you're in second grade and there's an unlimited amount of grades. And just because you made it to second grade graduation doesn't mean you're anywhere, And so my spirit all of a sudden goes, I'm ready for third grade. And then all of a sudden the third grade lessons show up. And suddenly I have to learn all the lessons over again. And doesn't matter how enlightened I think I am, if I ask
Tonight has been Center of Light Radio. I had my mic on mute. Brian is disconnected. Somehow he must have had a drop call. Center of Light Radio's return. Thank you everyone for supporting Center of Light during this time of computer issues. So thank you everyone. I'll be seeing you soon. Let me see my way out of this scenario. Brian is out. I'm going to get back on the horse with interviews from authors from John Hunt Publishing soon. I love you. Stay in touch. Be well. Go inside. Get out of the noise. It's going to get loud. Use it to your advantage to simply just be quiet.